Caitlin Clark gets assaulted. Now we got Caitlin Clark injured. Advocate. What if, this is just John Liquidator theory, what if Caitlin Clark time really is up with the incident? If Caitlin Clark do not play in the All-Star game, now this is just a theory. This is nothing what's going on behind the scenes in regards to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Now, the status report came out yesterday for tomorrow's game, which is today at the Las Vegas Aces, which they would tell us more about her back. Is it chronic or due to an injury? Back problems or not, Clark is out with a back injury because Stephanie White and the Fever.
Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson both out on the same night, and the timing alone has this whole fan base spiraling, because there's already a boycott movement brewing among Clark fans, and it didn't start today, it started with Stephanie White. This isn't some random coincidence people are inventing out of thin air either. Fans have been vocal for weeks that they don't trust how this front office is handling their franchise player, and every new absence just pours gasoline on that fire.
Born, I'm going to cut it off. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to cut it off. I think I cut the last game off. I'm going to cut it off. But, yeah, man, hopefully we get back to regularly scheduled content. There's an upcoming week. It's holidays, my birthday. There's just so much stuff going on. Kind of fell behind in creating content for you guys. But I feel like I needed a much-needed break. But definitely be sure to like the video, hype the video, and let me know what games you guys want me to go to for the month of July.
Clark got insulted by the whole officiating conversation all season, and now she's straight up injured. And yeah, this is eerily similar to last year's collapse. The pattern people are pointing to isn't paranoia, it's just pattern recognition. Insult, injury, absence, repeat. When you've watched this exact cycle play out once already, you don't need a conspiracy theory to be worried it's happening again.
Pitched an argument to the refs, maybe people would have lightened it up on Caitlin, because maybe they would have got hit with flagrants and technicals and all of them things, not after the game, not when people pitch a bitch online and try to make the W, you know what I'm saying, stand on business. If Stephanie do her job as a coach to protect her player, I feel like we wouldn't be dealing with this. You know, that's just my own personal opinion. Somebody said I'm out, won't watch this game to do to the coach for the Fever and their franchise. Stephanie White, you will never understand the loyalty and pride.
We're basically sitting right at the 1-year anniversary of Clark's final game from the 2025 season, and that timing is not lost on anybody paying attention. So let's play devil's advocate here for a second. Is it possible her time with Indiana is genuinely running thin? I'm not saying it's confirmed. I'm saying the theory exists for a reason, and dismissing it outright ignores how much tension has built up around this exact roster all season.
Tennis on everything. And everything being, Caitlin Clark played her last game in 2025, July 13th. We're about, I don't know, let's say 10 days away. Well, not even 10. Past that, we're about 8 days away from that date coming back around. In the month of June of 2025, Caitlin Clark was dealing with a groin injury. Now this year's a back injury. Now, I'm here to play that.
Here's the wilder theory going around. What if a trade's already been quietly worked out? Or what if Clark has essentially decided if the league won't protect her from these hits, she's just going to sit some of these out the way she did last season? I actually think this take doesn't hold up against what Clark herself has said publicly. She's talked about targeting a return during Indiana's upcoming road trip and said she's feeling a lot better, which is a very different tone than someone who's checked out. But I get why fans are grasping for an explanation after everything this season's already put them through.
Exactly what I said. People feel a certain type of way. They definitely do. Somebody else said Coach White post-game outrage doesn't excuse her failure to protect her star player on the court. She repeatedly put CC in vulnerable positions with little to no help defensively, leaving her exposed to unnecessary physical punishment. That is absolutely right. Now, just like I stated, it was news coming out about Aja Wilson.
And then there's the litmus test everybody's watching for. If Clark plays in the All-Star game, that tells you she's finishing the season out. If she sits that one too, get ready, because that's the real signal. I don't love turning an All-Star appearance into a referendum on her entire future with this team, but I understand why fans have landed on it as the one data point they can actually track.
To Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Now, the status report came out yesterday for tomorrow's game, which is today at the Las Vegas Aces. Caitlin Clark is out with what? That legendary back injury. And going back to Caitlin Clark back injury, not to toot my own horn, but last time Caitlin Clark played a basketball game, I was there in attendance. Now, everybody was saying she got benched. Everybody was saying Caitlin was benched. Ain't nobody want to listen to John Liquidator. I told y'all.
Nobody actually knows what's happening behind the scenes with Clark and this organization, and that's exactly the problem. She has to say the right things in front of the cameras, but none of us are in that locker room. That gap between the public performance and the private reality is where every single one of these theories is being born. And until the Fever get more transparent, that vacuum is just going to keep filling up with speculation.
Tell us more about her back. Is it chronic or due to an injury? Back problems are not minor issues. Definitely not. Miss seeing her play. Definitely miss seeing her play. Somebody said, all I wanted this year was to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. I guess it was too much to ask for. I don't believe it was too much to ask for. I believe Stephanie White kind of, like, when you think about everything that has transpired, started the season till now, if Stephanie White might have challenged some of those calls early on, Stephanie White might have, I don't know, pitched an argument to the refs, maybe people would have lightened it up on Caitlin.
Now here's where I have to say I told you so. Everybody clowned this bench conspiracy talk last time out. But go back and watch the film. Clark went to the tunnel twice during that game, and the second time she never came back. That's not a benching, that's an injury, and the fact that nobody from this organization has corrected the record on that tells you they're either sloppy with communication or they just don't feel like they owe fans an explanation. Either way, it's not a good look.
What's up, everybody? I'm back with another one. If you guys have not heard the news, I'm here to tell you, Caitlin Clark will not be playing today. Neither will A'ja Wilson. Now, with that being said, a lot has been surfacing online in regards to the Caitlin Clark fan base. Now,
fans in the comments are begging for actual clarity. Is this back injury chronic, or is it just this one incident? Because those are two very different conversations. And honestly, all I wanted this year was to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. Pretty much sums up the exhaustion in this fan base right now. That's not an unreasonable ask, and the fact that it feels like too much to ask for says a lot about how this season's actually gone.
And said, a lot has been surfacing online in regards to the Caitlin Clark fan base. Now, there is no surprise that many Caitlin Clark fans have vowed to boycott this season already. You know, everything that's transpired. Started off with Stephanie White. Caitlin Clark gets assaulted. Now we got Caitlin Clark injured. We don't know really when she's coming back, to be honest. This seems very, very similar to last.
This is the take that's been gaining traction all season. If Stephanie White had pushed back harder on the officiating early, challenged more calls, actually advocated for her star player in real time instead of after the fact, maybe Clark isn't absorbing this many hits in the first place. Coach White's post-game comments about consistency in the officiating are real, and she's said them publicly, but there's a fair question here about whether that frustration should have been voiced louder, sooner, and directly at the refs instead of the media.
Or dealing with something. Now, she could be hurt mentally or physically, but there's something there. Just saying. I didn't jump on her. She was benched. But let's read some of these comments, man. Then we go get into what they said about A'ja Wilson. One fan said, boo, wish they would tell us more about her back. Is it chronic or due to an injury? Back problems are not minor issues. Definitely not.
Some of these fan comments are brutal. I'm out. Won't be watching this game. And it's on the coach for the Fever and this franchise. That kind of loyalty/frustration combo is exactly what's fueling this boycott energy. And whether you agree with it or not, it's real sentiment from a fan base that feels like their star isn't being protected.
Adopted Caitlin Clark, but they like Stephanie White, they like the Fever, they like all they Indiana sports wholeheartedly. Let's finish reading some of these comments. What you meant to say is Caitlin Clark is out with a back injury because Stephanie White and the Fever organization doesn't have her back.
The Iowa versus Indianapolis comparison here is honestly one of the more interesting takes in this whole video. Iowa is described as Caitlin Clark heaven, this whole other level energy, while Indy comes across as a city that adopted her but loves the Fever and Stephanie White just as much. That distinction matters, because it tells you this fan base's loyalty isn't unconditional the way people assume. There's real tension between we love Caitlin and we're an Indiana sports town first.
There, just saying. Just saying. I didn't jump on her. She was benched. But let's read some of these comments, man. Then we go get into what they said about Asia Wilson. One fan saying, boo, wish they would tell us more about her back. Is it chronic or due to an injury? Back problems are not minor issues. Definitely not. Miss seeing her play. Definitely miss seeing her play. Somebody said, all I wanted this year was to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. I guess it was too much.
And then you've got this comment nailing the actual basketball complaint, that Coach White's post-game outrage doesn't excuse leaving her star player exposed to unnecessary physical punishment on the court, game after game. Add in the fact that Aja Wilson is also out with an ankle injury on the exact same night, and yeah, it does look a little spooky having both of the league's biggest stars sidelined at once. Even if, more likely than not, that's just really bad timing colliding with a fan base that's already primed to see conspiracy everywhere.
Past that, we're about 8 days away from that date coming back around. In the month of June of 2025, Caitlin Clark was dealing with a groin injury. Now this year's a back injury. Now, I'm here to play devil's advocate. What if, this is just John Liquidator theory, what if Caitlin Clark time really is up with the Indiana Fever? What if trades has possibly been negotiated? What if Caitlin is already kind of taking a stand to where, you know what? Y'all don't want to challenge my fouls. Y'all don't want to challenge my plays. Another